it is taking everything in me not to scream, because I don't want to start a video just by screaming. But it's taking a lot to hold back. I'm so mad. I'm so mad, and I'm mad, and I'm also like emotional, and I'm impressed by how well they handled the episode, but I'm so mad at the same time. Whew. Anyway, hi everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to our weekly Fruits Basket discussion video. Today we're talking about Season 2, Episode 9, my precious Gollum's favorite episode. But before we get into the video proper, I do, as always, want to give a big thank you to those of you who shared last week's video over on Twitter. So a big thank you to Morgan Romero, Matt87 Eagle, Darkfire Player 4, Worse Games, and Marquinty2. Thank you all so much for sharing last week's video over on Twitter, and if you too would like to have your name in the next Fruits Basket video, then be sure to share this video around on the internet, and then tag me at JoJo Talks Too Much over on Twitter, and I will be sure to shout out the first 5 of you in next week's video. Okay, so this is the first time in a long time since I was so engaged with an episode. I was so enraptured by what I was seeing that I didn't even take notes. I had to write down notes afterwards. So if there is something I have forgotten, I apologize. But I was just glued in. Like, I was just in the screen. You know what I mean? I may as well have been in that room with Akito and Kyo. I was so invested. I have never wanted to hug a character as much as I wanted to hug Kyo. Because, like, I've seen this dude grow. I've seen this man go from like an annoying, like angsty tsundere boy to Kyo, and seeing them solo and defeated by this scum smear of a human being, if I can even call Akito that, it hurt. I hated seeing him like that. I hated seeing him like that. And like legitimately, like you guys think like, oh, har, like, I wanted to hug him too. Like, no, you don't understand. Like, I literally could feel, like, my arms around this guy. Like, I was so, like, you don't deserve what is happening to you right now. And it's so, like, I cannot stress enough how impressed I was by the time the credits rolled that I still felt that way. I feel that way now, that they managed to make me care so much about a character who is not real. They are drawings on a screen. They are scribbles on a page. And yet, I was so, like I felt a mighty need to hug my boy, my best boy. And, well, one of two best boys, because I don't understand the Yuki versus Kyo and the fan. Like, that's so stupid. Love them both. They are both the best boys. And seeing them, like, seeing Kyo hurt so bad. I was so mad. And so many people were like, you ain't ready for next week. You ain't ready. And I wasn't. I wasn't. I really wasn't. I'm shaking. Like, my hands are shaking. Like, at the end of the episode, I was shaking because I was so angry. I was so, like, hurt for my boy and furious with Akito. Like, Akito has to go down as one of the best villains of all time, in my opinion. You wanna know why? Because a villain, some villains you're supposed to sympathize with, and some you're supposed to hate. And oh my god, I hate Akito. And the thing too is, I don't hate him because it's like, Akito's a bad character. No, I hate Akito because they're so well written to make you, like, hate them, and yet everything they say is justified by their own logic. Like, everything Akito does would make sense to Akito, and I believe that it would make sense to Akito. But I hate them for it. Like, it's insane. Anyway, I've been rambling enough. I'm going to attempt to go through the episode. I did have my notes here, and I basically just wrote that this episode is all about Kyo. But the thing is, it's all about confrontations that Kyo has, right? Like, this is 3 separate confrontations for Kyo. There's Kyo versus Yuki, there's Kyo versus Akito, and then there's Kyo versus Kyo. And take a shot every time I say Kyo, you'll be dead. Don't do that. I'm going to start with Kyo versus Yuki, because it's the easiest to wrap up. Kyo confronts Yuki just before getting into the room with Akito. And obviously Kyo's pissed, right? Because he's like, you, again, this is just like New Year's all over again. You left her behind. Like, why'd you even bring her along if you were just going to leave her? Again. And Yuki, to his credit, it's like, oh yeah, what are you doing here? Like, are you gonna tell Akito no? Like, is that something you can do? Because I can't. Like, can you? And obviously Kyo can't. He's standing right in front of Yuki. And so Yuki just basically saying, like, don't be like that to me when you're upset with yourself. Like, you're not yelling at me, you're yelling at you. And Yuki doesn't say that, but I could just tell by my boy's face, like, that is what he's feeling. And, like, Kyo, in a moment where I thought he was gonna... Kyo reels back with such fury that I could have sworn that if he connected, he would have taken Yuki's head off. Like, that's how angry he was. Now, Yuki ain't no slouch either. We've seen Yuki, like, dodge moves with the grace of a figure skater around Kyo, right? Like, we've seen him do this. So Kyo, like, if he had connected, that would have hurt, though. Like, even for Yuki, like, that would have really, really hurt. But he doesn't connect, not because he misses, because he holds back. And I found that incredibly interesting. Not only that, but when Shigure, who was also very surprised, Shigure made like a wincing face like, oh no, this is gonna hurt. But then he opens his eyes and Kyo's fist is near Yuki, but it didn't connect. And Yuki didn't flinch at all, like just no fear from Yuki at all. And Kyo just gets angry and storms off. And Shigure is like, why didn't you do what you usually do? Like, you could have taken him there if you wanted. And Yuki just says, like, I'm fed up. I'm done with this. And he says, like, that Kyo and him need to learn their place. And I feel like that's my biggest fear, is that they both made growth, but learned the wrong lesson. Because I do think that both of them are better now than they were previously. Yuki is way stronger emotionally, and Kyo is way more open emotionally, you know what I mean? Like, Kyo's more vulnerable in a good way, Yuki's more strong in a good way. They've both sort of, like, incorporated, ironically enough, certain aspects of the other character into themselves, but I feel like they learned the wrong lesson. Because for me, I'm like, yes, you're both so much stronger emotionally, but they're like, yes, but we are subservient to Akito. And I'm like, no, that's not the lesson. That's not the lesson. That's like, you got the effects of the lesson, but you did not understand the lesson. The lesson is that everything Akito does is bad for you. Akito's love is not genuine. It is not real. And Toru's love is real and genuine. You need to understand that the system that you have in place is not good and is hurting you. And I feel like Shigure is probably gonna be like, damn it, like, my plan, it's still working. The plan is working. My husbando's plan is working. I'm standing by Shigure right now. The plan will work. It's just, okay, maybe it might take a little bit of time because these boys are dumb and are learning the wrong lessons. At least as far as I'm concerned. And normally I would say, like, don't spoil in the chat. Still don't spoil in the chat, but I'm not even gonna be there because, again, I'm talking about some stuff that I just know people are gonna want to spoil me for. I don't want to get spoiled, okay? Because this is an episode I feel like is going to compel people to spoil by accident, because there's so much that goes on, and we haven't even gotten to Akito versus Kyo yet. Let's talk about this. I have one more Yuki versus Kyo thing, but I can save it for Kyo versus Self, because we'll get there in a sec. Let's go ahead and talk about Akito versus Kyo. So, this takes up a bulk of the episode, and I'm still mad. I can feel it. I'm still angry. I am so impressed by the writing in the show, because, like, even though I'm sitting there going, like, this is not the progression that I wanted for this character, even though it's not going the way that I had thought and the way that I wanted, I was still so impressed by the way that they handled it that I didn't care at all that it's going in the wrong direction for me. And like that they're reinforcing that Akito is above them, you know, that they are subservient to Akito. Because keep in mind too, like, I don't know how much more of FruBa there is. I assume that we're getting a third season. I could be wrong. But if we are getting a third season, you can't wrap it up here. Like, you can't have them learn the lesson here anyway. So, you know, like, I don't know. I wanted them to grow from this, and they have grown from this. It's just that they learned a different lesson than the one that I wish they had learned. And Akito, my God, Like, in this moment, we learn the bet, and this is part of the reason why I know I'm gonna avoid the comments and the live chat, because the bet scares me, and I have thoughts on what I hope will happen, but ultimately I am scared. Ultimately, I am very, very scared, because I don't know what, like, beat Yuki even means. Like, what does that mean? Like, how is he supposed to beat Yuki? What does that entail? And if he doesn't, will he really be locked up forever? Like, is what's gonna happen to the original cat spirit gonna happen to Kyo? Now, I'm gonna hope not, but I have a feeling like, and this might just be me, I have a feeling like we will see Kyo locked up. Like, just because the show loves to hurt me, and Akito is a shithead, and I feel like Akito will find a way to put Kyo into that like containment thing, into that cage, and lock him up and throw away the key, you know. But then it'll be up to Toru and the gang to break him out. Like, that's what I think is gonna happen. I don't know if that's actually gonna happen. Man, I just I'm so messed up. I'm so shocked that Kyo would even agree to the bet. Although it didn't look like he did. But the other thing that I'm shocked by is just how Akito functions as a character. Like, everything about Akito is so gross. From the faces they make, to the reactions to things. Like him washing his hands after, like, touching Kyo and being like, I feel gross. Akito is disgusting in, like, every sense of the word. And nowhere is that more apparent than the she's a monster viewpoint. Because that, to me, sums up not only the dichotomy between Toru and Akito, but Akito's viewpoint and the way that he sees things is personified in the she's a monster viewpoint. Akito claims that Toru is a monster, and that the only way that she could love a monster is she would have to be a monster herself. And Akito sees Toru as this, and even the fact that Kyo says, like, you're using her for something. And that scares me, because it's like, okay, so Shigure has a plan. Does Akito have their own plan? Are they the same plan? Should I have never trusted my husbando? I don't know. Everything, like when I say that I don't like Akito, people get the idea that, like, oh, I hate the writing for this character or something like that. And that couldn't be farther from the case. Akito's, like, the she's a monster thing is such a, like, perfect piece of writing in my mind. Because it shows you how corrupted Akito is by the power in which they wield. That they could view love and companionship and kindness as something to be feared. And it doesn't feel cliche or cheesy. Like, I actually believe that if a person like Akito existed, that would be what they say. Because Akito is trying to manipulate everyone in this family. Akito is purposely trying to manipulate the Somas and is succeeding. And I think that makes them such a brilliant villain, especially considering how much I hate them. I don't think I've ever hated, no, that's not true. I've definitely hated characters as much as I hate Akito, but Akito is, wow. That's all I can say on that, man. That's all I got for the rest of my thoughts on Akito. Just wow. And the last thing I got to touch on is Kyo versus himself. And this is the biggest shock of the episode as far as I'm concerned. Kyo versus himself reveals two things. Reveals the lesson that that Kazuma was trying to teach Kyo, which is that even if you feel like because you're sticking around because you know that not everybody hates you, that you have hope that not everybody is willing to throw you away yet. And even if you feel like there is no hope, it'll grow back, and it'll keep growing, and it'll keep coming back and coming back and coming back. You're not alone. Like, and when he says that to him, like Kyo says, like when he's running, and he's doing his running montage, he says, like, I pretended like I didn't understand the lesson, but I knew it from the beginning. And when he says that, I'm thinking, like, okay, so, like, did he learn the lesson? He didn't. Like, he's pretty much willing to accept his fate, which bums me out completely. And I do think that Kazuma is not exactly... Kazuma's another character that I don't expect to take that lying down. And The lesson is great. I think the lesson about the flower is beautiful and really strong. That's not what surprised me. What surprised me was when he says, like, I'm sorry I couldn't keep that promise, and he's thinking about the flower, and the flower is very clearly Toru, but then he says, like, that's little flower. And all of a sudden, Kyoko. What? Did I miss something? Have I forgotten something? I feel like, because when that happened, my jaw hit the ground, and I was like, how the hell do you know her? What? And when she shows the picture, like, this is my little girl, and she, like, this is, like, sometimes I feel like I'm a burden to her, but she's the most important thing to me. And I was like, Kyoko, I don't need these emotions right now. And, like, what promise was made? Because she says, like, that's a man's promise. And he says, I'm sorry I couldn't keep that promise. What does it mean? What does this mean? I feel like with FruBa, even though there's things that I've been spoiled on, and like certain things in the show will be answered, whenever they are answered, I get thrown a billion more questions, and there's a million more things that I just don't know. And the power of FruBa is the fact that I can't wait another week. I can't wait another week. Like, the fact that he accepts his fate at the end has me like, no, my boy. Like, I just wanted to grab him. Wanting to hug him disappeared, and I just wanted to grab him and shake him. Like, no, you are worth love. Like, you are worth it. You have worth. You are important. Like, to Toru, to Kazuma, even Shigure, and Yuki, especially Yuki. You are important to these people. And the lessons that FruBa is trying to impart through Kyo, through Yuki, through Toru, through all these characters. This is such a strong show. God damn it, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna end this video. I'm ending this video here. All right, that's it. I'm ending the video. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, do that. I'm trying to reach 25K by the end of the year. So if you haven't been subscribed, now's a great time. I'd appreciate it. And if you made it to the end of the video, then use the word coffee in your comment, because I need a cup of coffee right now. I need a cup of coffee right now. And with that said, we've reached the end of the video, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, then don't forget to boop the up snoot and share if you care. And if you want to see me rambling even more, then feel free to follow me on Twitter or join our good folks Discord, both of which are linked in the doobly-doo. Lastly, if you're feeling generous, consider checking out our Patreon page to help support this channel. Speaking of which, I'd like to give a big thank you to our lovely patrons, such as Zevi, Alex, Andrew W., Branson C., Calvin A., Crowbar of Irony, Daniel G., Deep Not That Deep, Digger the Fox, Dominic G., Emily, Ionos, Urza, Ginkotaku, Godzilla Fan, No For Nothing, Maria T., Marshall B., Mater, Mirth Mouser, Nymad, Cell, Shadow Creative, Stephen G., The Suavest Orange, Tristan G., and Verdon. Thank you all so much for your continued support over on Patreon, and once again, thank you for checking out today's video. Hope you guys have a lovely day, and until next time, you stay classy, AnyTube, and wash your dang hands.